have you had more success on Instagram than anything else?
Time is precious, man. That's the only thing that you can't get back. 1,000 YouTube subscribers are a lot more valuable than like 5,000 Instagram or 5,000 TikTok, definitely. You're your biggest investment, and people don't realize that.
All right, welcome back, guys. This is the second section. If you didn't check the last one out, go do that. It's a masterclass on mortgage loans. And specifically, I gave him my problems with being an entrepreneur and getting a loan. And he really delved into that. So check that out. You're not going to want to miss it. But today, we're going to talk about social media.
I started my personal brand for my business 3 years ago. I would have never thought it would get to what it is today. So yeah,
Let me tell you a little bit about ours, and then we'll dive into yours.
Let's go for it.
Because we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Right? But we're trying our butt off.
Yeah.
And we've had mainly success in YouTube. But we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. And I don't know why, but you're here. You're probably going to be able to shed some light on some of these other things. But so like I said, 150,000 total. Give us a breakdown. Tell us a little bit about, where you're finding success, how you're finding success, and maybe share some insight to these people who are watching that are trying to maybe get into the same space.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's funny that you're with everything you said. First thing that comes to mind is like, you want what you can't have, right? Because I would say out of all of the success I've been having on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, because I believe YouTube Shorts and YouTube are kind of two different things, and then TikTok. The one thing that I want to grow is my YouTube, and then so it's like you want what you can't have, right? So, man, so I mean, in the first section of it, you guys kind of heard a little bit of my story of when I got started in the business, and one of the first things, I was 23 years old. When I started, and then the second youngest person was like 33 or 34, so I was younger by like 10 years.
Big gap.
Yeah, so I was just like, man, how can I take advantage of this, right? Yeah. And one of those things was social media. But at the bank that I was working at, it's a pretty big bank, I couldn't just post whatever. Like, everything had to go through compliance, and and then so I kind of forgot about that, and then put my head down, made the calls, went to the events. Did all the activity that like people that want to grow their business normally do, like just grind, right? I did all of that. And then, man, I thought that my first year in the business, I'd be lucky to just make a few $1,000s, and I ended up making, 3 times the amount that I had made previously at my, salaried plus commission job. And so I kind of just got on a roll and got too busy for social media. Then when I left the bank, that was one of the things that was like, hey, can I do social media? And they're like, yeah, you can post whatever you want. But at that point, I was too busy again. So I hired a girl, paid her $500 a month, and she started just posting all this stuff that I wasn't really a part of. But man, it just looked so like cookie cutter. It just wasn't like, and she's like, well, it's because we got to do video. And we started a brand new business account, and she was like, hey, let's do video. And it was one of those videos that would be like, hi, my name is William. I'm a local mortgage banker, and today I'm going to talk to you about FHA loans. And they were getting like 60 views. And she's like, well, it's because you have to pay to get people to see it. So that $500 went up to $800, then $1,000, then like $1,500. And I just was like, there's got to be a better way. And so in March of 2022, I went to a mastermind that I paid $5,000 to go to this mastermind. They said, hey, we'll teach you how to shoot videos people will actually watch, right? So I went out there, and I was like, whatever they tell me. There was like 10 other people. I was like, whatever they tell me, I'm going to do it for at least a year. And then the girl that I had over 2 years, we never got over 1,000 followers in that account. I switched over to my personal account that I had for since 2011 at that point, and I just did exactly what they told me. Did 3 videos a week, and I thought I was going to lose followers because I thought people are following me for just my personal stuff. Like they don't want to get bombarded with this. But I was like, no matter what, I'm going to do 3 videos a week for a year. I'm going to give it a year and see what happens.
Like short videos?
Short videos, like 30 seconds to 15-second videos. And did it exactly how they told me. There's got to be a hook at the very beginning of the video. There's got to be a problem, there's got to be a solution, and then there's got to be a call to action, right? And then there's got to be a written hook on the video so people know what the video is about. So I did that. Again, I thought I was going to lose followers by, I believe, late May or June of the same year. I was already at 10,000 followers on Instagram, and I was just like, there's no way. There's no way. But then it was kind of like the thing of, as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, when am I going to get to 20? When am I, so it's it's just never enough, yeah. Right? So that's a little bit of a story of kind of, how I started. And I will tell you this, that was March of 2022. You're in different businesses, but my business, there's a lot of people making a lot of money in 2020 and 2021 because rates were so low. Mm-hmm. And then 2022, things started going down. Last year, 2024 was the worst year in real estate in the last 33 years. So I told you there was almost 500,000 loan officers in the nation, in 2020 and 2021. And next year, we're projected to have under 65,000 loan officers in the entire nation. That's how many people have gotten out of business. I say that to tell you, I don't believe my business would be what it is today if I would have started what I did over 3 years ago.
Social media. Yeah, so it's been a journey for us. And, well, like I told you, and we've had some conversations, and it really started for us as putting content out from real life people to help entrepreneurs that have lived it, right? And, maybe somebody that isn't a Hermosi or, a Grant Cardone, somebody that I guess would say a little more middle class, right? Lower middle class that has been able to grind and make a ton of mistakes and be able to share real life stories, bring in professionals like yourself, right? That can help kind of guide in different ways to help entrepreneurs. And that's where it started. And that's what it's founded on. And we're sticking to that. But what I've learned is the power of creating a personal brand, right? And really kind of the monetary gains that can come from it if done correctly.
Correct.
Right. And and I think in the world that we live in, this is obviously where everything is going, right? Mm-hmm. I do my Google ads and I still use my search and I'm kind of pivoting a little bit to my business, but the more I get into social media and how I can tie in my podcast to what I'm doing to show authority, right? And getting people to understand what I do, where I've started, where I'm going, and using everything around me in every aspect in the social platforms to garner attention. It's a powerful, powerful tool, right? 100%. And how you use it is important too, right? I tried to use it, and like I said, I've always found it on using it to help people, mm-hmm. right? And so I think having a good motive behind it too is probably very important, I would think. Mm-hmm. But to your point, into social media in general, I think it's where it's going, and you've been able to use social media, right, to probably keep yourself grounded in that mortgage lending and being able to push yourself out there and tell people who you are, what you're about, how you can help them, right?
Yeah.
Solving those problems like you talked about. So that's why I wanted to kind of dive into, because like I told you, we do YouTube mainly. We push it on all our platforms, but we haven't had very much success mm-hmm. on the other platforms. And like you said, you probably wanted to have the YouTube style. But have you had more success on Instagram than anything else? Or where do you think where did you cut your teeth, we'll call it? Or did you do them all at the same time?
So I personally did them all at the same time. So whenever I started posting, so for me, you know, time is precious, man. That's the only thing that you can't get back. So I'm thinking if I can, like, for example, like this podcast that we're doing today, if you're carving time out of your day, if I'm carving time out of our day, if we are taking the time to do this podcast, why would we just post it on YouTube, right? Why not post it? It might take a little bit more to post it on Spotify, to post it on Apple, to post it on Audible, to post it on Amazon Music. Like, it's like we already have the content, so why don't we not multiply all of those? So that was my thought process when I started.
Yeah.
Sure, it was going to take a little bit more work, but it really wasn't. I mean, if you use the same caption, if the thing's already edited, it doesn't take that much longer. So my routine has been the same ever since I started. Posted on Instagram first, right? Then I posted on Facebook, and then I posted on TikTok, and then I posted on YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is what I didn't start with. It kind of like got a little bit later in the game. But I will tell you, I think when I started, I probably had 300 subscribers on YouTube, and now we're over 1,000. And most of those subscribers have been driven through the Shorts, actually, which is pretty, it's pretty crazy. And in my opinion, like 1,000 YouTube subscribers are a lot more valuable than like 5,000 Instagram or 5,000 TikTok. Definitely. Like, for me, my opinion, it goes YouTube as far as following goes, Instagram, Facebook, and then TikTok.
Yeah.
As far as the value of your followers there. So what first took off was actually Facebook, believe it or not. Facebook, I think within the first 3 months, a few videos took off. And this is where people don't realize is if you have a video, if you have a niche where people come to your profile and they within 5 seconds can tell what your page is about, that's a niche right there. And if you have a video that takes off that has to do with your niche, people are going to come to your profile, and if they're able to see, they don't know your name, they don't know you have 3 kids, they don't know you have all these businesses. Like, if they can just say, hey, this person can probably add value to me, they're going to follow you. So early on, I had a couple of those videos on Facebook take off, and it got us quickly over 30,000 followers on Facebook. And then Instagram was the one that took a little bit longer. And believe it or not, I just hit over 10,000. Well, we're close to now 20,000 on TikTok now, but I just hit over 10,000 like last month, dude. I had a video that did 1.2 million on TikTok, and it's so crazy. TikTok is the craziest one because it was the easiest to grow when it first started. But I was one of those people that I was like, I'm not gonna get a TikTok. It's gonna be here and it's gonna be out in the same month or whatever, right? And then and now it's so hard to grow on TikTok because it's so saturated. So yeah, that's kind of how it went. And again, want what you can't have. I had all these platforms that were growing, and all I was focusing on was on TikTok. I was just like, I feel like a bum that I don't have at least 10,000 on TikTok. And now that I have, almost 20, I'm just like, how can we keep growing? Like, it just never stops.
So let me ask you this. Do you use the same video when you send it to all the different platforms, or do you change it up in some way? And then the next part of that question is do you think if you do the same video, do you think that there's better ways to do it? And my experience is that all of them are a little different. So what do you think?
So I'll tell you exactly what I do. So if I'm posting to Instagram, I always have a song from Instagram to go with the video. So like if we're talking and we have in the background, there's like a song playing, just cause like what I do, my niche is I edutain people. I educate people while entertaining them. And even like talking about, an FHA loan in a way where it doesn't seem like I'm talking about an FHA loan. Like, this is how you can get into this home for 3.5% down, or as low as $6,000. Like, that's me talking about an FHA loan without the audience know that I'm talking about an FHA loan, but I'm educating them. If I'm talking about that and then there's like a good song in the background, people are like a little bit more, entertained per se. Now Facebook, I never put a song on it. And the reason for that is because from May, I used to all the time, but from May of 2022 to April of 2023, I averaged out about $1,500 that Meta was paying me because of a bunch of videos were blowing up, and they were giving me some of that ad revenue on that. And then it changed to where they were like, well, if you have a song, we can't pay you for it because it's copyright and all this stuff, right? So I stopped putting it there. And then TikTok, every now and then, if I feel like I have the perfect song for it, and because it can get confusing if the same song is not on all the platforms. But it gets to the point to where now I really only put a song on Instagram, and I post it the other 3 without a song. Unless it's like today I'm posting a recap of a Brokers Open that we had this week, that we had about 50 people there, which your normal loan officer goes to a Brokers Open and has like 8 people there. And I had my video guy there. We have a recap, and then so that is going to have probably this. I'm going to try to look, like, I already found the song for Instagram, and I'm going to try to see if I can find it in all the other ones. Have the same caption, copy and paste it all, besides YouTube, because YouTube is 100 characters or less. And that one I try to have like a hook within that caption. So it's pretty similar, but tweaked a little bit different, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So we don't do any songs. I know that. So it's interesting. That's why I always, anybody that does social media that comes on our podcast, I'm always picking their brain. Trying to figure out what we're doing wrong, what some different things we can try. Right. I'm ever learning in everything that I do. So the next thing I thought was interesting that you talked about earlier on, that I'd like you to, maybe you can delve in a little bit more for the people who are watching. It sounds to me like you took a step and you spent a decent amount of money, $5,000, right, to go to a master class. So you're committed. Right, you're like, I need to get in this. I see the value. I picked up on some of the stuff you said, right? Hook. Then you got to be solving a problem, giving answers, right? And then some kind of what'd you call it? Call to action at the end, which I'm assuming you learned at that master class. Could you help me and everybody else that's watching maybe go into that a little bit more detail? If there's anything else that you learned in that master class that you think might help us?
Yeah. So it's funny you brought that up, the masterclass again, because I went back again in June. And spent more money, and I was like, I'm gonna try to learn from these people. Exactly what you said. That's literally me in every aspect of life. I always want to be the smallest guy out of a group of 5, whether it's the wealthiest people, the most fit people, people in faith, people with their family. Like, I want to be, and now with social media, like, how can I learn from these 4 people, right? So, and sometimes, we brought up Grant Cardone and some of these guys. I mean, some people spend $50,000 to have an hour with Grant Cardone, which is insane, and definitely insane for some people. But that is how much people believe in themselves. And we talk about investing in businesses and all this stuff, but like, you're your biggest investment, and people don't realize that, which is insane. So for me, it's like, how much ROI can I get back on this right now? Like, I'm in a coaching program which is crazy to me, because people are like, you're top 1% loan officer. What do you need to get coached? I'm like, because I'm not the number one lender. I'm not the number one lender in the nation. And I've invested $40,000 to get coached a year within mortgage lending. $40,000. People are like, what? And I'm just like, but guess what? That money, I'm going to triple it or more, and you better believe that I'm going to, because I believe in myself so much, right? So I went back again, and then they taught me the same thing, but really I paid that money again just so I could be around those guys that were having all that success and pick their brain a little bit more. So you told me to pretty much how to break down an actual video that puts together. Is that correct? Yep. So pretty much, no matter what business you're in, you can utilize the same exact tactic. And it used to be a lot harder. I say back in the day, that was 3 years ago, before ChatGPT. ChatGPT has been an amazing help.
We always talk about ChatGPT.
But I will tell you, 98% of people use ChatGPT wrong. They use it wrong. And you can just tell whenever somebody's using ChatGPT for their content. If you can utilize ChatGPT in a correct way, dude, you can literally get a robot to work for you. For me, at least $20 a month, because I'm paying the $20 a month one, and it can literally do what I would have had to pay somebody. Like one of my buddies, right when ChatGPT first came in, he was paying somebody $500 a month to do his newsletter. I have a newsletter that I actually started a little bit over a year ago, have over 2,000 people, because that's essentially what you want to do too from social media. You want to deplatform people, because we're living on rent. No matter if you have 1,000 followers or 100,000 followers, you're living in rented land. Because as we know of this year, if you had 1 million followers on TikTok, that could have been gone in an instant earlier this year if they shut it down. But if 1 million of those people, if you got 100,000 of those people to your newsletter, you own that at that point, because you have their email, you have their attention. That is your space at that point. That is not going to go away, right? So, so if you have a business and you're thinking, I want to talk about give me, let's do a live example right now. Pick one of your businesses.
So I'll tell you one that we just sold.
Okay.
So we had a fuel company.
Okay.
Right. So basically what we did was we bought fuel. So gasoline, diesel, red diesel, right, from the rack, and we delivered it to different job sites with little fuel cubes. So.
Okay. But here's my next question is going to be, is that, you already sold that business. Mm-hmm. So my next question is, let's identify the audience that we are wanting to reach, right? Because if there's a way to grab that business and dumb it down for people, for them to understand and add value to them to understand what you're talking about there. But then let's talk about, like, who is the audience you're trying to reach in your platform?
So in my platform, I'm trying to reach aspiring entrepreneurs and current entrepreneurs, in helping them and learning from some of the mistakes that we've made, and teaching them by bringing in experts such as yourself, right, how they can better position themselves in their own business.
Okay. So with what you're telling me about that business, we're not going to really teach so much about the business, but we're going to what can we get from that business and that experience to reach the current audience that you have? So you said you just sold the business, right? Mm-hmm. So how long did you own that business for?
I would say about 2 years.
2 years. Okay. And what is the biggest takeaway that you could take from the whole experience of starting the business, buying the business, going through the business, or selling the business, that you like, something that you can think, you know what, if I could share this and it could reach 1 million people, of the audience that I'm trying to get, I could probably get at least 10,000 of them to say, I want more of what this guy has to say. Tell me what it would be.
I would say, if I already had a platform, we'll call it a business platform, okay, is being able to identify other opportunities that get brought to you after you already have a business, right? Being able to understand them, weigh in the positives and negatives, what the cost is going to be, and then what the potential exit could be. That's what we did. Was we were able to say, okay, I got myself educated enough in my current business to where people trusted my service level, right? So they came to me and said, hey, I need this service, right? Well, I wasn't in that service, but then I was like, okay, well, let's dive in a little further, right? What exactly do you need? What is it going to pay? Then I use my team and my own knowledge to take that information and say, okay, well, it's going to pay me X. It's going to take me X to generate that money, right? And then take it one step further. Is it what kind of, in this particular business, and we're talking about fuel, what would be the potential multiple exit, right, if I was to generate X dollars and make this much EBITDA in a year, right?
Yeah.
So that was the mindset that I had. And it boded well for us. Another thing that I would say I learned was I underestimated what the capital expenditures would be, and some of the issues that can arise, and some of the liability costs, we'll call it, when you're driving down the road with a bomb, right? You have a tank full of gasoline.
Yeah.
So there was some, I would say I learned some things as far as calculating some of those costs that I didn't know before. But that's what I would say I learned from that is I learned that if you already have a business and you understand how businesses operate, specifically I'd say service businesses, that's mainly what I stay in, is that I can take that widget and do anything, right? I can figure out what it's going to cost me to run it, figure out what my margin is going to be.
Yeah.
Right. And so I can pretty much, and we always laugh about this, is that to me anymore, it doesn't matter the asset.
Yeah.
Right. Is that I understand the fundamentals of it.
Yeah.
So I could take that widget, whatever that widget may be.
Yeah.
Right. Now I just prefer stuff that I call it dummy iron, right? Things aren't super complicated. I don't have to go out there and change a motor out or do anything like that. It's simple stuff. I can deliver it, might have to come service it, right? Once a week or something like that. But it's easy. You can train people to do it really simply. So I'd say that was my biggest takeaway is understanding the fundamentals and being able to take opportunities after you've already made a position, you've already made a business that's operating well, is using that fundamentals and being able to calculate your costs, calculate your ROI, understanding your multiple and exit, and do that fairly quickly.
So it sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, you went into this was already a business that they pretty much hired you to turn around, and then you sold it in 2 years. Is that kind of
close? So I was already providing a service for that client.
Okay.
And they came to me and they said, you provide a high level service. Can you do this service?
And how was the business doing? Was it not doing great, I'm assuming, or?
I started it from scratch.
Oh, you started from scratch?
Yeah, so they came to me and they said, hey, these guys are failing in this business, right? Their business wasn't for sale. They were going to kick them out. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to buy these trucks and they're going to pay me X to deliver X amount of fuel.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So based on everything that you just told me, this is why so many people fail at social media, is because they try to communicate what you're communicating in the wrong way, to where if you just jump on and get the fancy camera, get the fancy lights, get the fancy mic and everything, or you just pull out your phone and do that and communicate it exactly how you communicate it, it's very easy for people to get lost.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Okay, what's going to happen is they're going to just scroll or exit, right? That's one. Second thing is people maybe do it just like that, or maybe do it a better, like communicate a little bit better, but to the wrong audience. Because get this, is that one of my most watched videos is going to be how to pay your 30-year mortgage off in 15 years early, right? It's communicated perfectly and has a hook, has a pretty much the structure I gave you. But if you're a 16-year-old kid that's somehow got to my video, you're probably going to scroll through that because you're years away from most likely getting a mortgage. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So the first thing is, what is the audience? Your audience is aspiring entrepreneurs or people that are currently already in business. How can I help them learn from our mistake? Because we've dropped the word mastermind a couple of times in this podcast. And what I love about a mastermind is that you're learning from other people's failures, so that way you don't have to fail like they did, and you're able to pretty much fast track. Going back to time, if it took you 2 years to figure something out that you can tell me in 2 hours, you just saved me potentially 2 to plus years. Yeah. So that's what you're doing on that. So then at that point, it's like, how do we get that and share it to where it's going to attract the audience that I'm looking for? So the first thing is a written hook, right? The first thing I can come up with is something like, from failed business to selling for $1 million+ or whatever the figure is, or something like that. Now, I said I've gotten a little bit lazy with ChatGPT. I got really, really good about like just picking a couple, and I'd be like, okay, this is it. Now I still have to come up with something like this, which people don't. They just go in there, give me a hook for this, and it gives you something really generic and something good. So I have to still come up with something off the cuff really good like that, like from failed business to selling it for $1 million plus, and then go in there and say, can you give me 5 options on coming up with something that's going to be a written hook on here that's much shorter? Because from failed business to selling for $1 million bucks or whatever, it's still kind of too long. I want it as short as I can. So that way, when people come to my profile or they're scrolling, the first thing that they're going to do before they ever even hear my voice is read that really quick and know if that's something that they care about or not.
I like that.
And then the next thing it's going to be a verbal hook. And that's what you say. Most people, what they do is they say the same thing, which is like, this is how I took this business from failing to whatever, right? And then you can do it that way, but I like to take it a step further and say, how can I just have a completely different hook? So I'm not saying the same exact thing. So that way you're able to put in 2 hooks in one. So something like with what you're telling me is, something I can think of is, if you've been wanting to start a business, but you're scared to fail, you're going to want to watch this. And then that right there, because most people aren't at the level that you guys are of all these other businesses. Most of the people that you're trying to get in are people that are like, man, I've been wanting to start a business. Kind of like you were telling me when you were 31 and you were like, man, I want to leave this corporate job, but I keep failing at this and I just don't know. So it's like, if you've been wanting to start a business and you're scared of failing, you're going to want to watch this, right? It looks like we got somebody trying to join the podcast over here.
It's hanging out.
What is that?
It's a dragonfly.
Dragonfly. There you go. Thought you were trying
to
drown it over there.
Scared me.
But then from there, you try to tell the story you just told me in a very micro way, right? And that's what's going to happen is the people that you reach on there that really like you, they're going to go to your profile. And if you can sell them in your billboard, which your billboard is your profile picture, your bio, and the first 5 seconds of your content, they're going to follow you on that. And if they follow you on that, they're really going to get to know you in the stories. Because, Alex was talking about how he watches my stories and stuff, and he gets to know who I actually am as a person in the stories, because I share a little bit more, which I really share like 1% of my personal life, it seems like, but everybody feels like they know me. And people are going to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And what I love about social media is that it gets you into rooms that you'll never step foot in, but it gets you into places that people are watching you and consuming your content. So hopefully that answers that.
Yeah, I learned some stuff.
There we go.
Heck yeah, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. People that meet me, one of the first things that they say is that I'm a very like systems and process person, right? And then other people that meet me, they're like, man, you're a lot of personality. Like you have a big personality. I like to say that the reason why I've had success in anything is because I'm a little bit of personality and I'm a little bit of science, which is systems and processes, right? And tracking and everything, right? And so with that being said, I'm a very like routine person. So every single morning I wake up 4:30, 4:45, depending on how much debt sleep I'm in because of this Whoop right here, which we can probably get into. But
yeah, I like to get into the Whoop.
Yeah, so I wake up. I have a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago now, I realized that, dude, I've been to Bible college and I had realized I had never read the full entire Bible. So I was like, this is the year that I'm going to read the entire Bible. And so 2022 was the first year I ever read the entire Bible. And then I got done and I was like, what's next? And I was just like, let's do it again. Because I was just like, I was like, I did a quiz on like, I just read the entire Bible. Like, how much
did you retain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like little to none, really. Yeah. And so I was like, because I mean, the Bible's so complex and it's so big, So so I'm on my 3rd year of reading it, the entire thing. And so I wake up, probably do that for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then I get in the cold plunge. Then I do a mentor session with Darren Hardy, who has a thing called Darren Daily. It's like a 3 to 7 minute mentor session that he does every single morning. And then I head to the gym. at the gym by 6 a.m. And then I leave right around 7, come back home, have my coffee afterwards, and then spend time with my son or my daughter now that, she's been alive for about a month, but, I kind of go back and forth, and then get ready around 8, leave the house around 8:20, and I'm at the office by 8:45 on there. So that's pretty much my Monday through Friday there.
Very routine.
My average routine. And
cold plunge. Whew.
Yeah.
I have not been able to break into the cold plunge
dude,
yet. Not gonna lie.
And the only reason I did it is because I hate the cold. And I was just like, you always have to do things that you hate doing if you want to keep improving. And I always tell people discipline is doing things that you hate, but doing them like you love them. And today I did cold plunge number 576, I believe, in a row. So
I'm a dry sauna guy. and
that can get hard too. That can get pretty hot.
It can, and now I'm thinking about my routine and I'm like, God, I got to tighten up a little bit.
No, so
it's funny because I literally talked about the last podcast I did like, or two ago or so. We got talking into fitness. I think I want to get into that with you because you look like you're a pretty fit guy, and you can already tell that you have a better routine than I do. And I was preaching about routines the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. It is so important to have routines and pushing yourself to the limit, if you will. Right. And you seem to be the epitome of that.
I don't know about that, but I always tell people that, man, a bad habit is really easy to pick up and really, really hard to break. And a good habit is really, really hard to start and really easy to break. While a routine helps you start new habits and keep those new habits as well too. Because if I just quit, doing the cold plunge for a couple of days and break that streak, I'm just gonna be like, what? I mean, it doesn't matter now. So it's gonna be so easy to break that, right?
Yeah.
So and I know we were talking about fitness and stuff, and I think a thing that has really helped me out, I've at the very, very beginning of the first session of this, I told you a little bit of why I believe I got the early on success that I did is because I knew my why, right? But guess what? Some people start off hot because they know their why, but then they never redefine that why or reshape that why or find a new why, right? So for me, 2 years into the business, I was doing pretty well. But I was just like, I know that I need another edge to kind of go to the next level. So what I learned is I started doing business plans with realtors, which realtors are 87% of my business. And I started figuring out how can I help them reach their goals.
So they'll call you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see me as a lender. They see me as like, Will's helping me reach my goals. And if I help them win, Zig Ziglar said it better. If you help others get what they want, you're ultimately going to get what you want. So I remember this new agent that had started her first year, she did like 2.3 million. And I said, I think you can do 5 million. And did a business plan with her. She didn't think she could do 5 million. By July, she had already hit 5 million. And at the very end of the year, she ended up hitting 10 million. And she called me and she's like, Will, you're never going to believe this. She's like, I did $10 million in production, and she gave me a big hug. And dude, that year was a record-breaking year for me. But guess what? It was like the Instagram stuff. I was happy for a second, and I was like, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
But with her, it felt different. I was like, I was part of that success.
Yeah.
And I redefined my why of and why I was able to kind of keep doing things at the level I was doing them, because I now, I was still wanting to get people into homes because of the whole situation of my story with my mom and, that girl I met at the bank. But now it's like, I'm still doing that. But what's pushing me a little bit harder is going to be helping these agents, right? And then my son was born in 2023. And dude, there's all these cliches out there of like time goes by. Any cliche that you've heard from parents come true when you become a parent. Mm-hmm. And then so now, dude, anytime with my business, I'm just like, I'm doing this for my son. Like, it's just, so all that to say that I've been working out, dude. I started track in 7th grade, and I really feel like I've never stopped working out from then. But the reason for that, I played 4 sports in high school, and I've always kind of changed things up. And I feel like that's what gave me consistency, right? Because it doesn't matter about your daily routine. It doesn't matter if you do, bodybuilding, CrossFit, cycling, running, whatever it is. The only way it's going to work is if you have consistency. So for me, I feel like what's helped me, it helps me get away from, the stress that my job has. I'm able to fully unplug, not be on my phone, whether I'm cycling, whether I'm running, whether I'm doing CrossFit, and I'm able to switch it up so I don't get burnt out. So that's a little bit about what I love about fitness and why I've been doing it for so long, and why I'm 22 years old and whoop age.
22 and whoop age. You listening to this? I'm not gonna lie to you. You look way younger than what you are, so good for you.
Probably the Asian in me.
It could be the Mexican Asian in you. So, fun fact about my fitness journey is I graduated high school at 140 pounds, and I absolutely hated working out. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Right. I played basketball, played a little bit of football. I quit that a little earlier on. Played baseball, and then I ended up playing tennis.
Okay.
So I was in 4, but let's just call it probably really 2, baseball and tennis. And I love to do that and nothing else. Right. Come fast forward 22, 23-ish. I was living with a guy, and he was kind of a genetic freak, and he's always making fun of me. Right. And then finally he convinced me. So I went to the gym and just fell in love with it. And from then on, it has been history. I probably work out now at least 4 times, usually 5 times a week.
Yeah.
I've switched it up through the years. I mainly do weightlifting. Don't get too crazy with it. I'm 38 now. So I actually hit 90-pound dumbbells for 11 yesterday on my 4th set, which is pretty good.
There you go.
I'm 100 and about
bench or what?
Yeah, on a this was on flat bench.
Okay, there you go.
So flat bench, 90-pound dumbbells on my last 4 set. Pretty good for me. It's the most I've ever done.
Yeah.
I hit it for 11.
There you go.
So I don't push myself too hard because I'm like I say, I'm 38 years old.
Yeah.
I don't really want to get injured.
Yeah.
But I stay consistent with it. And now I just started implementing in the cardio. I've never really had an issue with gaining weight, thankfully.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will change, I imagine.
Yeah.
But it's always kind of a running joke between my wife and I is that I never do cardio, right? So I started doing it, and I never said nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then one day she was like, yeah, you just never do cardio. And I'm like, actually, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about it, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of been my fitness journey, and I fell in love with it, and I get all hardcore into it. And I see the Whoop. We were talking about the Whoop, and I was telling you a little bit about what I do. I'm all about trying to be the best health and mental clarity, mindset, individual I can be, because it's going to help me in my personal life. It's going to help me in my business life. So, I got my testosterone checked, like I told you, and I was very low.
Yeah.
So I got that in check where I'm around the 800, 900, which is giving me a ton of energy. Unfortunately, I do have to take shots twice a week, but I've never been a guy that's scared of needles, so that wasn't too big a deal. And then I got into the NAD plus, and I use a lady who I don't know what they call it. Maybe it's holistic medicine, I guess they may call it.
Yeah.
But out of Owasso, and she's been great, very, very knowledgeable. And she kind of helps guide me in the things that maybe help me, things that won't, when I get crazy ideas about doing things. So I did that. I eat fairly clean. I do the hydrogen water too.
Okay, there you go.
Yep. I do I think we talked about this. I do the neuro gum.
Yeah.
Right. The alpha brain. Anything that I feel like can give me an edge.
Yeah.
Right. And the one thing that we were talking about that could probably give me a little bit of an edge is that Whoop.
Yeah.
So tell us about the Whoop. What do you use it for?
Dude, so I always tell people, if you don't track, you don't care. And that goes to everything. So it's funny, people look at my business and then they're like, how are you doing the business that you're doing? And then I just pull out my what I call a greatness tracker. And it's an activity tracker of everything that I do every single week. The amount of calls, the amount of texts, the amount of videos that I do, the amount of thank you cards that get sent out, the amount of, literally I track everything, dude.
How do you do that personally, or do you have something that helps you track it?
I have a personal assistant that helps me with that as well too. But I was doing that way before I had her as well too.
Yeah.
People always think going back to social media is like I have to like be here before I start, and it's like the people that are here started here, right? And so it's I was at lunch with a coworker the other day, and you gave me a bottle of water, and I put it in here because I track my water. Right. I've been doing this now for over a year. It's like 436 days now. And
you know everything to the day.
And so I got it because I thought that I wasn't drinking enough water. And then I got it, and this thing was like, you're drinking too much water. Like I just got it like 2 days ago, and it's like, so slow down on drinking water, because it's like your body, like, you know, there's such thing as drinking too much water. And then so anyway, so I took a sip, and then the thing lit up, and he's like, "Why is that lighting up?" And I said, "Because I'm tracking the water." And he goes, "Classic Will." He goes, "You probably track the amount of times that you go to the bathroom, don't you?" And I go, "Ha ha." And he goes, "No, but really, how many times do you think you go to the bathroom?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I really do like have to pee a lot because I'm constantly drinking water."
Yeah.
I said, "I don't know, like maybe 15 times a day." And he was like, "Whoa, that's a lot." And I go, I was like, maybe like 12 times. And he goes, "That's still a lot." And I go, honestly, now thinking about it, I was like, I'm maybe going like 7 times. And I go, "Dude, thank you."
Another tracker.
No, I go, "Thank you." I go, "You just literally like solidify why I do what I do, is because if you don't track, you have no idea, and you're just going based off people's emotion." If I would have said 15 and he would have been like, "Okay," I would have never been like, wait, it's not 15. It's so people are literally going by the seat of their pants. They're just like, you know, like, when's the last time that you took out your wife on a date? And it's like, maybe a couple months ago. It's like, if you don't truly know, you're just guessing, right? So I got this Whoop that tracks my sleep, tracks my blood pressure now, tracks my Whoop age based on all of my habits. It tells you like how old you are, and I'm 31 years old, and this thing is telling me I'm 22 years old based on my sleep, based on my fitness, my VO2 max, based on
what is that?
VO2 max is essentially like how fit you are, really. And so I'm at a 57 right now, which I thought that was pretty good until I got into cycling a couple of years ago, and I've been watching the Tour de France, and I watched some of the VO2 max from these guys, and it's like insane. Like if you thought you were skinny at 140 in high school, these guys are like 120 out there just biking. They're biking over 100 miles every single day for 3 weeks, I believe. So anyway, so it dictates your fitness there. It literally tracks everything. And so I've been wearing this now for about 1,700 recoveries on that. So whatever time period that is. And I love it. If you don't think I do, check out this.
Been wearing that thing for a long time, brother.
Yeah. And so dude, I love it because it just keeps me in check, right? Like for example, like if I have one extra glass of wine that I shouldn't have, it'll tell me in my recovery here, and it just keeps me in check.
So he does drink. If you were wondering, it sounds like he does.
I do track my drinking though.
He does divulge a little.
Yes, sir.
Well,
yes, sir.
Man, I hope you guys are picking up on some of this stuff, because I know that I am. And like I've said, and you're hearing it from him too, is fitness is so important. Routine is so important. The mental clarity is so important. So take this stuff in. If you're not doing some of this stuff, I'm not saying you're going to be able to flip a switch and be able to do this stuff overnight. I'm not doing most of the stuff that you're doing, right? So I'm learning some things here too. And I can't stress enough to everybody who's watching is that you got to be in a good mental clarity when you're an entrepreneur. So if you're going to take that leap and make that next step, you got to be clear-minded. You're going to have to make a lot of decisions all the time. You've heard me say before, owning a business is like, as Elon Musk would say, is like chewing glass and staring into the abyss, right? It is difficult, right? You just don't know what's going to come.
Yeah.
So have your mental clarity on check. get yourself in a routine, right? Surround yourself with people. And I love that, what you were saying earlier. Surround yourself with people who are who are better than you at whatever it is that you're in. I've never done a master class, and now you're making me want to, but I'm learning a little bit from you. Maybe get a little master class from you. So I love that. And you know, at the end of the day, is that I always preach this: is you still got to make the step. Yeah. Right. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to just dive into it, man. Because even if you fail, if you got that feeling that you know you want to go do something, you believe in something, you're not going to figure everything out. You're not going to have all the answers. You got to take that step. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yep.